Welcome to this episode of the GymInformer podcast. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode, and today our guest is Chris Sims, the owner of Muscle House Fitness down in Head, Maryland. That's down in Southern Maryland, not far from where I reside. Super excited to talk to Chris about his gym. I just got to work out there a couple of weeks ago. It was a super cool gym. Glad to see Southern Maryland having an actual bodybuilding gym. So super excited. But before we get started, let me take a pause and I'll show you the photos I took when I was at Chris's gym. All right, Chris, I'm excited to talk to you about the gym, let everybody know about your gym. Before we get into it, like, how did you become a gym owner? Like, what was your path to saying one day, like, I'm going to own a gym?
So I've always been into fitness. I used to do amateur bodybuilding, and I never lost a passion. And it's one of those things that once it's ingrained in you, it's in your blood, you just can't walk away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it led me into wanting to uh, own a gym that's designed around what I used to do, with the bodybuilding, the kind of people that come to a gym that want to bodybuild. Uh, and even outside of that, I mean, when you have a gym that you have a lot of isolated equipment, the average gym goer can get a lot of benefit out of it. So it just seemed like it was a win-win to build it that way. And the area that it's in, the demographic that I'm in, I'm really pushing that demographic to understand more about good health and use the gym properly so they can see a lot of the benefits. So
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So in the gym, like, it's not a huge gym. So you said it's just barely under 4,000 square feet, but it is packed with equipment. Like, you've got some old school Nautilus in there, you've got some new stuff in there, you've got some old school hammer strength. Like, what was kind of, because you didn't buy out a gym, you created this gym, right?
no, I created this gym. So I've been fortunate enough to have some really good relationships with some people that I've met through life. I used to have I still do actually have an amazing home gym, and that led me to have some relationships with companies that had refurbished equipment, new equipment, and it just helped me to be able to put my hands on a lot of things that a lot of gyms don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn a lot about a certain brands that really hold up, comfortable brands, the function of them. Uh, it's a lot of stuff out there, but you got to really understand how the equipment works for it to be the right piece to go in your gym. So
So that was kind of the thought process, was like, let me get pieces that are going to function the way I want and pieces that I would want to use? Or is that why you
absolutely,
chose like specific Nautilus versus specific old school hammer strength? Or
yeah, yeah, and that's exactly it. I was fortunate enough, like I said, with that relationship of one of the main places that I go to for equipment, on the refurbished stuff and new stuff. They allowed me to come in. They shut everything down and let me go through and hand pick everything I wanted. They allowed me to literally use the machine as if I were using it that day, so that I said, you know what, I like this piece, or I don't think this is going to work.
oh,
So
that's super cool. Yeah. Um, so yeah, and I was saying in my review, like, from an equipment variety standpoint, like, you've got a ton of equipment in that small space. Like, and I was actually really impressed with how it's organized, because when you go to a bodybuilding gym, you want it to be organized by body part. And you did a really good job of that. Was that your intention also?
oh yeah, everything that I've done in this gym is very intentional. Um, I also own another company. We do a lot of construction and buildings, but there's a lot of agencies that I've built gyms for. And I had to quickly learn and teach them the understanding of utilizing space. So that also helped me to understand how to get a really good amount of equipment in a small space and still have it fully functional. So even when I was putting this one together, I knew exactly how I wanted to lay it out. I use a lot of signage to try to lead people into where they are so they can have an idea of where the equipment is and still try to have information on each piece of equipment to get them started. But when you come into my facility, I make sure myself or anybody that's on staff that day can walk someone to a piece of equipment, show them how to use it, show them proper form, and turn them loose to have a good training experience.
No, that's super cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna try to like confuse anyone and say that the gym's roomy, because it's definitely not roomy. It's packed. But I've been to other gyms where you literally have to maneuver around equipment, and like you did a good job of laying it out. So nice job on that.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Um,
The premise behind that was, and I tell a lot of people when they come in, I'm like, look, there is a lot of equipment here, but I don't want someone's experience to come in. Let's say if I had 75,000 square feet and I had a lot of equipment that just didn't make sense. But, I had a decent amount of it in a very large space with a lot of extra space to walk around. Okay, so you work out and you had a decent workout. I wanted to build something when someone comes into my gym, they have everything they could possibly imagine to work out, train, and just be like, wow, this is a great, workout, a great experience at a gym, and not be so caught up in the space, because space doesn't determine a great gym. The equipment determines a great gym. The greeting when people come in determines a great gym. So I
mhm.
lean heavily on that more so than I do space.
Yeah, no, it was good. Now, um, you had most of your equipment was old school equipment, but you had some newer pieces in there. What was the thought process or on going with the Fettle, or I don't remember what brand that the new sliding lat row piece was.
So the reason I went with a lot of that is because I wanted to come up with some unique pieces that 9 out of 10 gyms don't have
Mm-hmm.
or may not invest in because they may not see the need in that. But again, it goes back to what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to give people. I want people to come here and go, man, I've never seen that piece of equipment, or I saw that on Instagram. I'd love to train with that. So it's more about the experience. It's more about the unique piece. And that's why I went in the direction of some of that stuff. Some of it is really early released. So you have to kind of go with whatever company will release it at that time. And then as time goes on, once that piece either fails or they come up with something better, then I'll change it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a whole premise behind me doing what I've done. There's even some pieces that I have in that are temporary, and the new pieces are coming in. But again, it goes back to the demographic of what people are using that the most. They love certain pieces that I really want to switch out, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let it stay for just a little bit until they kind of burn themselves out on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, you've probably got. I mean, I've been to every gym in Southern Maryland, and I'm pretty confident that you're the only one with a lat pullover.
Yeah.
That nobody else. I mean, most good bodybuilding gyms have one.
Yeah.
You're the only one in Southern Maryland with one. Like, so that was pretty impressive. Now, the other thing that, like, from an atmosphere standpoint, I always love a hardcore, badass bodybuilding gym, and I think you could get away with that because there are no hardcore gyms in Southern Maryland. But you obviously went with more of an inviting, like, feel. I'm assuming that was on purpose. You wanted the gym to feel inviting for everybody. Was that on purpose or?
Yeah, because as much as you and I and all the real bodybuilders and hardcore guys that really, they live and breathe this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a very different time. You got a lot of people that want the easiest way in and out. So, it's kind of like purposeful. Yes, you build a gym for bodybuilders and you want them to come, but not everybody has the genetics and desire to be that. So you
Mm-hmm.
try to find a way to make a hardcore that has the ability to be a hardcore, but still soften it up just enough so the regular gym user doesn't feel intimidated or it's not a place for him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely had like a very friendly vibe, you know.
Yes, yes,
So it was bright and it felt inviting and it didn't feel intimidating at all.
yes.
Even though there was more equipment, even though there was more equipment in there than probably any other gym in Southern Maryland except the new big gym. But
Yeah.
um, so and then one of the things I always like to ask, you've had the gym for what, a year and a half, 2 years now?
Yeah, a year and a half coming up on 2.
So we talked quite a bit now about things that you've done really well. Is there anything that you feel like that you could have done better or you would like to be doing better?
Um, Look, every day that I walk in the door, I find ways to improve this gym. I have a plethora of equipment that's coming. Um, there's an area that we are currently, since you came in, that we're punching out to do some work to pick up a little bit more square footage, to bring in a few more pieces. Um, sure, there's things that I'd like to do. I'm a little handicapped by the this area. I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to have an area where we could have some classrooms. But the coolest thing is we just got to go ahead, which by spring will be open. Everything is in place for that. We are constructing a outdoor gated area that you will be able, that's completely covered with an overhang to do outside workouts. And it's going to have everything. I already have 2 power racks, all the benches. So that will be up and running in the next few months.
Oh, super cool. Yeah. Nobody has outdoor workout areas in Southern Maryland.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good thing because, it gives they can have a little bit more freedom with that.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to stay within the rules and guidelines of the gym, but you want to get some guys that want to kind of really let loose. If they want to go out there, pull his shirt off, work out, no harm, no foul. So I'm not against anybody really enjoying that because that's kind of a cool experience that you may or may not ever be able to experience at any gym. And as long as we keep it clean, I'm all for it. So
Yeah, no, that'll be super cool. So the next question I had was where do you want to go? Like, what's the future of Muscle House? Are you happy with the location and where you're at? Are you thinking about like maybe one day getting into a bigger location, or are you thinking about maybe one day there'll be like a second Muscle House gym, or are you pretty happy with where it is and where you
look, so my answer to that could be all of the above. I
are?
I, I am kind of happy with the location only because um, this location is kind of like, to me, it's a hidden gem, but most people see it being an area that's desolate and not much here. But it is transitioning, and I like the idea of being early in front of the transition, right?
Mhm.
So the idea of growth, I'm all about it. I would love to have a second Muscle House and Fitness. I would love to get it. In fact, my goal is to get the brand to the point that I could either franchise or either have just multiple locations because
Mhm.
I'm very passionate about what I do. And I even want to lead this into helping a lot of children be able to get on board with this thing and learn the early beginnings of muscles and how they work, the training. so that they can lead into being better athletes. And, I recognize that the gym is not just about, guys and ladies that love to look good and feel good. It's a lot of great mental health that comes out of working out in the gym.
Oh,
So,
100%. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, to me, it's as much mental health as it is physical health. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people forget about that. And, I think that's so important that, some people need this just to be able to keep them in a good place. I mean, life is super stressful anymore.
oh,
So,
tons.
yeah,
Especially in this area, like the
yeah,
the DMV, Washington D.C. metro area. It's like it's a badge of honor to be busy around here. So
yeah,
the
yeah,
busier you are, the more stressful you are. It's nice to just be able to like go to the gym, get in a nice workout, be
yeah,
stressed, get that in.
yeah. And that's
So
why I try to keep the atmosphere here friendly and family like, so you can come in and let it go of a lot of that stress and just have a great workout and have a couple of laughs and enjoy your time.
So for anybody who doesn't know where you are and where I am, like you are within driving distance for a morning workout from me. And you and I had talked about this, that like I would probably come there on a regular basis if you had like a 24-hour access. Is that something that you're thinking about in the future, or are you guys,
It is,
is that
it
like,
is something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It
no,
is
you're fine.
something that I am not against, and it's something that I'm pondering with, and it may actually happen sooner than most may think so. But my biggest thing with that is that I want to make sure that every base is covered for security reasons, so that in the event there is, a few females that come in that early and work out, I want them to feel that they know that they're safe at all times. That's the biggest thing, because we live in a time where things can be a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure anybody that comes here realize that they're safe. They can come in, work out, and have a good time.
Yeah. And for anybody out there who's watching this and is at a 24-hour gym, like please make sure that you don't let people in, and please make sure that you make sure the door's locked behind you. Just like you said, I was the first one in the gym one morning. There was a 24-hour gym, and there was a homeless guy sleeping on the floor. So
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's funny you say that. The conversation that I had with a few people was, look, let's call an apple. If they went out and begged for $30 a month, they could pay for a membership. And legally, can you put them out of your establishment? So
nah,
those are the questions that come about.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, you gotta be careful about how that goes about.
Yeah, yeah. But it is something that I am definitely open to, and something that we are investigating to make sure if and when the event does happen, that everyone is safe. So
Yeah, and definitely let me know if and when that does happen, because I would
you
love to
will
come
be the
down
first to
more
know.
often and work out.
Yeah, you'll be the first to know. Hey, we want you to come in, man. You got an open door policy with you, so you're good.
No, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, there's several more pieces down there I didn't get to use last time, but I'd love to come back down and use. Um,
Absolutely.
so then one of the other questions I like to ask, because a big portion of our audience is gym owners and other gym owners. So we always like to ask gym owners, like, do you, having opened a gym now and building it from scratch, is there a piece of advice or some advice that you would give to another gym owner or somebody who's thinking about opening a gym?
So the biggest piece of advice I can give is to make sure you do your homework, um, and don't get yourself in too deep with all of the things that come before you get that first membership. A lot of gyms, look, no one is oblivious to how many gyms fail within the first year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what that comes to is you got to really be vigilant about what your overhead is going to be, um, what the demographic can support. And I tell anyone, you know, you just got to do your homework, man, because it's easy to fail at this. But if you go through and make sure you check everything and find the best avenues to purchase equipment and the buildings, and understand how lease work if you're leasing a building, so that you don't get these hidden costs through CAM, the community stuff that you have to pay. you'll be okay. But if there's something that you don't understand about a lease and where you're dumping your money, you can quickly get in trouble, because at the end of the day, that first month, if you have one member or 200 members, if that payment is $10,000, you're going to have to come up with it. So
Mm-hmm.
make it make sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And you're one of the, like, I've talked to a bunch of gym owners that have said, like, don't give up your day job for at least the first couple of years. And like you were saying, you have another company that supplies you
Yeah.
income, so you don't have to rely on the gym for your income. So
Yeah.
so
It's so up and down. You know, you can get 100 members that won't pay their membership one month, and it'll blow your mind. But it happens.
yeah.
So,
I didn't have any other questions or anything else that you'd like to tell people about Muscle House.
otherwise, then, I think Muscle House is one of the best gyms in Charles County, in Southern Maryland. I invite people to come down and check it out. I think they'll be amazed about just the feel of it, how inviting it is, and I know they'll have a great workout. And I think it's worth, even if sometimes, if they don't want to drive more than 20 minutes, if it's 25 minutes here, I think you'll see it's worth it. I believe in what I do, and this is a passion for me. This is just not a money grab. So I'm always willing to listen to advice, and I'm always willing to make change. And I want this thing to be better and better. Every day, I try to find a way to make it better and better. So,
Oh, I totally agree with what you said about it'd be worth it. Like, look at the fact that this is a 4,000 square foot gym that's packed with equipment, and Chris has done a really good job of equipping a 4,000 square foot gym. If he had 8,000 square feet, I'm sure that rating would be through the roof. But at 4,000 square feet, like, this is the best rating I've given for a 4,000 square foot gym. So you've done a
that
great
means
job,
a lot
Chris.
to me.
I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I look forward to coming down and hitting your gym again. And I think you and I are going to be friends.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.